you have to fall back in love with what you've got, and you've got to be grateful.
Welcome back, beautiful people. We only thought it'd be best to bring you an amazing guest. She's an actress, presenter, and a disability activist. And what I love about her is not only does she speak frankly when it comes to disability rights, she's very open about dealing with mental health issues. She refuses to let anything get in her way. Without further ado, let's give a huge welcome to the Rebecca Davi Show, Samantha Renke. How are you, Samantha?
Oh, I really well. Thank you for getting my last name right. Like no one does. So I'm going to give you a gold star straight away.
Thank you, Sam. What do they usually say? They usually say Renke or something.
Renke. I think in high school I was Renke.
Wow. Okay.
I don't think I was ever Sam. It was like Renke. So yeah, that's fine. But yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? So it's nice that you actually got it right. I don't know whether I've got like a Wikipedia where you can press on the button. You know, it says I don't even know. You know what I mean? Like when you can't pronounce something, you go online. And it words it out for you. I need one of them, don't I?
How are you, Sam? How's your day going? How have you been during lockdown? How's everything going for you?
Yeah, so today I'm pretty exhausted, and it's funny, isn't it? I've had a really productive day, but one of those days where I went out yesterday with my mum. My mum's visiting at the moment, and we went to the zoo, went to London Zoo, and it's just typical. I forgot to put my out of hours, email, and then I came back home. We came back home about 4 p.m. and my emails, it was like, when you're having a slight meltdown, I was like, wow, I have and a lot of emails go, Sam, can you do this? Or like about 5 different emails. I was like, oh my days. So I mean, I shouldn't complain because it's always great being busy. And I realize that a lot of people really struggled this past 18 months. And in a way, the fact that everything's gone virtual has been to my benefit in many ways, particularly with my consultancy and, talking about disability. It's I've been able to do that and really branch out and offer my services, virtually. So it's been fantastic for me, particularly because I do struggle with anxiety and not leaving the house, because I won't say it's that extreme, but, kind of going from A to B. There's a lot to think about when you're a wheelchair user, and a wheelchair user who's got brittle bones. Is the venue going to be accessible? Is the taxi driver going to be helpful enough to help me in and out of the taxi? Are people going to assist me if, I need some assistance? Is my PA available to come with me? So there's just a lot that you've got to juggle. So the fact that I can sit here now with my tracky bottoms on and a posh blouse, and have meetings has been very much a godsend, not only for my physical well-being, but also, my mental kind of well-being as well. I've used this time during lockdown to really create awareness of the barriers disabled people face. Now we all go back to normal. I'm asking people, like, don't forget about disabled people. Don't forget how you felt when you couldn't go out, but it's really made me reevaluate what I want to do and where I want to be and what's important in life. And I think a lot of people have kind of reevaluated throughout lockdown. And for me, again, you could probably hear birds in the background, but what I do is I put on the TV for my cats, I put YouTube on with birds.
Oh, like the meditation kind of. Oh my God, I love it. Yeah.
I pretend it's for the cats because they quite like going up on the TV and trying to attack them. But I quite like it. It zens me out quite a lot.
Do you know what I love, Sam, about you? The fact that you seize every opportunity.
Do you know what? I have my moments. I don't want to come across as holier than thou. There's definitely so for example, my agent said, they want you on Celebrity Mastermind, and my I'm really quite bad at retaining information, and I love the Kardashians. I'd rather watch them than the news. So I really have quite like a really shallow side where I just love fashion and, don't really get too invested in like current affairs. If I can do it if I want to, but I just don't. I choose not to. So I even said to him, I was like, no, I would totally embarrass you if I went on, and that's not me being modest. I'd just absolutely be like, don't know. Really don't know, and that's quite a bad thing to say, but so there's definitely moments where I'm like, no, I just don't have the time, energy, or inclination to give that a go.
That's good in a way, Sam, because to have that boundary, because you can't say yes to everything, can you?
Absolutely. And And I think that there's some opportunities where I think, gosh, come on, Sam, get that fire back and just push yourself. But like you said, I think what I've learned, I've got some health issues at the moment. My legs aren't doing too well, and that's happened in the past couple of years. And I'm 35 now. Like I said, not to sound like a grandma, but I've just like I want to slow down a little bit. Whereas before, and I think this was, again, being a disabled woman, you have this pressure of constantly pushing. You've got to prove yourself, and you've got to, say yes, like you said, say yes to everything. And particularly in the creative industry, because it's that whole thing of, well, if you want to say no, we'll go to someone else.
Yeah, but I think it's naturally within you, though, Sam, because I can tell something about you. You're grafty. You don't stop. You want more. You don't get complacent.
No, and I enjoy life, and I enjoy the experience that I have, and I, like everything, like I do things that excite me. You know what I mean? I would say 98% of the things that I have in my life now, or I do in my life, it's because I get a kick out of it, or I'm helping someone else, or I'm like, yeah, this is making change, or and also, or this is making me a lot of money. Do you know what I mean? So like I'm definitely driven in that sense. And also I lost a parent when I was very young. My father passed away suddenly when I was 9, had a brain hemorrhage. And I think something that really resonates with you. People kind of think that when you're disabled, that's your driving force. And I suppose it is in some respect. But I think actually, losing a parent and seeing, someone like, someone, he was 38, I believe. Seeing, baby, I'm 35 now, so that's kind of scary. But, seeing someone's kind of life just be taken away so quickly, that kind of sticks with you, and that pushes you forward, and I am sure, people listen to this who have experienced similar, I think you shoulder this, it's not a burden at all. It's a pleasure. It's an honor. You shoulder this, I'm going to do it because you're not here. And I've been given life, and you were cut short, and I came from you. So I'm gonna do as much as I can to honor your life, and like just go for it. I wanted to prove people wrong. I think when you're disabled, because you said, right at the beginning, and despite, the disability, whatever, and that is a common kind of idea that your disability should hold you back. And it's like, it can do, but not because of your disability. It's actually the environment. I obviously experienced discrimination back in Lancashire, but I think I went from university to a postgrad, then back into the school system. So I was a little bit in a cocoon. And I lived independently, but I lived down the road from my mum, and I had friends, and so I was a little bit in the bubble. Then I decided to quit everything and move to London, and I didn't have a job, and I started volunteering at Action for Children, who were great, but obviously, I can't magically make a paid position there appear. So I started, looking for other paid employment, and at that point, even though I came to London to work in the charity sector because I was a trustee for the British Bone Society, there came a point where my savings were dwindling because I was constantly in Mayfair living it up. So I started advertising, going to jobs, and I was finding it really problematic. I didn't have a care assistant, so I was, going to these job interviews, rocking up, and I always disclose my disability. I think it's important. I mean, it's up to the individual, but for me, it was important. I did from a safety perspective, to be like, hi, I'm coming with brittle bones, I'm a wheelchair user, so please be mindful of that. But I'd get there and the lift would be out, or even if the lift wasn't out, you could literally see the people interviewing me, looking me up and down. I just go, oh God, how much is she going to cost us? Oh God, we don't have an accessible bathroom, or what about this? What about that? So it was a little bit like I was set up for failure, a lot of the places I was going for. And then you had the added, kind of, you're a woman as well, and then you used to be a teacher, and then why all of a sudden have you quit your teaching job and you want to go and work in PR, or you want to do an internship? Like, people didn't quite get that, but for me, I'm a grafter, and I like, I can work my way up. It was a struggle. And then by chance, I went to a housewarming party, and there was a lot of TV people there, and I've always loved acting. My acting dreams were kind of quashed by my acting coach, who at the time said, people like you wouldn't get very far. But it might have been harsh what she said to me, but she was right. you know. I think her exact words were, because we had quite a large Asian population in Lancashire. And I think what she said was, people like you, disabled, and people who are Asian won't get very far. And, they were really, really cutting, and they've stuck with me clearly because I'm talking about it now. But she was absolutely bang on. I mean, I've just come from a meeting now talking about representation, or the lack thereof, of disabled on-screen talent. So this is a fight that we're still fighting now. But yeah, I was really struggling. I went to this house party. I met someone called Max Barber, who was a director, producer. And I think he was just a bit fascinated by me. I think I was literally like the first physically disabled person he met, and not in a grotesque way or in a fetish way or anything like that. But I just think he was mesmerized by me. He's one of my closest friends now. We've got a production company together called Born This Way Media. I promise we've not nicked it from Lady Gaga. We might have done a little bit. But yeah, so we came up with this concept to do a small indie, so independent film. It was supposed to just be like a really short film, and then it turned into a feature film, and I won some awards in America for it, and I think the rest is history. But my charity work was still really important, and I volunteered at a lot of charities, Scope being one of them, who I'm now ambassador for. And I just said yes to everything. If they had like a campaign and they needed someone to do a radio show or go on Sky News or do something, I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And I just figured out how to do it when I was there. So yeah, and then obviously just from that, I've kind of created my empire.
Love it.
So I think everything happens for a reason, and I don't mean to be flippant when I say that, but I definitely do, because I came back round to it. I think the teacher telling me that now is why I'm vocal about inclusion now, and I share those words, those hurtful words. I share them like places like this or in interviews, and it pushes me to, highlight that was like what 15, 20 years ago, and we're still having this conversation now.
But I'm so curious to know, Sam, what is your philosophy on life?
Do things that make you happy. That's not always going to work out, because you've got to pay bills and you've got to, kind of keep the momentum going. But I definitely think, say yes to things and take risks, but don't do it to any detriment to yourself,
Yeah.
And just do things that make you happy. Like I've been asked to do programs like The Undateables and all these kind of things, and they just don't sit right with me. And at the time when I've been asked to do these shows, they probably would have been extremely good for my presence and my social media and my my fame, but I said no to them. And I think it's just believing in yourself. I struggle with imposter syndrome. It's very common in women and people in TV. So I definitely have my doubts, and I definitely sit there and go, wow, I can't do this, and I get into my head. So but yeah, just take risks, say yes to things, and believe in yourself. I do a lot more meditation now, and I do a lot more manifesting. It's a tricky one because all these kind of words have been taken, and they've been kind of like, I don't know, the heart of it. I mean, these philosophies have been around for millions of years, so it's nothing new. But I think people have jumped on the bandwagon of manifestation and gratitude, and sometimes people go, oh, right, whatever, that's all woke kind of things. But if you look at the essence of it, it is just about core beliefs. Before coming to London, I had one friend. We used to live in Lancashire together, and he moved to London for university. Long story short, we kind of reconnected, and he said, come to London. So for about a year and a half to 2 years, every couple of months, I would come and visit London just for a weekend, shopping, go to a club, just kind of like enjoy being in my 20s. And so I had quite a narrow view of London. It was glamorous, and it was partying, and it was, shopping and fabulous. But every time I manifested, or every time I visualized, being in London, it was none of them things. It was me coming out of a accessible home into an accessible taxi. And I just kept having this vision, because I was like, if I ever want to move to London, I'm not going to be partying. I'm going to be living in London. I'm going to be eating, going to the loo, showering, like everything's going to be happening. It's going to be my day. And I need to practically understand what that looks like, living on my own, away from family and friends. So I just kept having this vision over and over again of me getting out of like a home with no steps, or stairs, and into a taxi with a ramp. I just kept visualizing that, and I think that is the power of visualization. You have to fall back in love with what you've got, and you've got to be grateful, and you've got to take each day. So I've now got in my frame of mind going, do you know what? If this is my lot and I'm stuck here, I need to embrace it and love it. And ever since I kind of just went, right, Sam, fall back in love with your accessible home because you fought for it, things have started to move with me finding my own forever home, in the sense that I've started saving money. I had a meeting with a mortgage broker, right? You know what I mean? So now that I've kind of made peace with where I am and don't resent it, things start to, I'm manifesting.
Yes. I love that. The power of the mind.
I don't want to say like I'm always like this and I do everything right, and no, I don't.
No one does everything
exactly.
Right.
I have some like I'll go like a month of being really kind to myself and doing lots of things like mindful moments and gratitude, and then I'll go like a month with like being just really, really grumpy and just not eating properly, sleeping properly. So it's definitely a roller coaster. But I would. I'm
glad you said that, Sam, because that's about, and that's another thing why I think people are drawn to you so much as well, because of your authenticity, and it's so important to be real. A lot of people are like, okay, I'm like this every day. No, I ate so much crap this week. And I was honest about it. And I think that's so important, especially when it comes to being self-aware. You had a crap week this week, but then next week is going to be a great week because you're aware of the rubbish you had.
Exactly. No, exactly. I do. And I know it sounds a bit, when you say it out loud, it sounds a little bit like, oh God, that's again being like so millennial or whatever. But, I do try and be authentic. But I think that's just because I don't have the energy to fabricate anything. Does that make sense? Like
100%. Yeah.
I don't have the, my short-term memory is pretty rubbish anyway. So even if I like lied about something, I probably won't even remember what lie I made up. So there's no point doing that. And it's like, you know what I mean? So I don't physically have the energy to make myself look any more glamorous or and I expect, and don't get me wrong, again, I went through a phase of doing that. High school, I definitely did. College, I definitely did, put this persona of X, Y, and Z. But, the past 10 years and even just 5 years, to be honest, I'm just like, if you don't like me, I don't like you. Oh my God,
Sam, that's it. No, honestly, that's it. I love that. I want to talk about the Maltesers advert.
Can you believe that's 4 years ago? 4 years.
I know.
4 years.
Seriously. How time is flying by so quickly.
I know. It's very good for me because as an actor, I think so a lot of people are under the assumption that literally I was a wheelchair user. I was going down the street and someone grabbed me and went, hey, you'll do for the advert. But I actually had like an audition. I had a callback. I had a proper like that was just like as any actor would do, but it was great. Visibility was amazing. Attitude towards disability definitely changed me from doing, sorry, my cat's like attacking my mum. It's very off-putting, very cute, but very off-putting. Yeah, if only you could all see what I can see right now. So it was great, for visibility, but that was 4 years ago. And what have we seen since that has been so groundbreaking disability wise? What have we? Can you name something?
It's true. None. I know you experienced a lot of backlash. What was that like?
I think like anyone who's different, I experienced quite a lot of online trolling. Yeah. It was quite a shock, I suppose, for me because I surround myself with people that love me. So it was a bit of a shock just to be at the receiving end of quite hate. I think again, I've got quite a rose-tinted view on people and life, and I was like, it was a shock to me that people have so much anger in them, and it, for a time, it definitely impacted me. Going on television, every time after that, with all the trolling, I'd do an interview for something, and then I would feel physically sick in the taxi on the ride home, like because I wouldn't want to open up my Twitter, So that was a life lesson for me. I would say it's only been in the last 6 months, and I say honestly 6 months, because during the first lockdown, I wrote an article about me shielding at my mum's, and my mum and my stepdad have quite a nice house in the country, but it's not accessible. So for me, it was a challenge because all of a sudden, yes, I'm away from London in a safe place, but I can't do anything for myself. Like I couldn't go in the bath myself because it wasn't a wet room. I had to be carried up the stairs. You know what I mean? So I'd gone from that, but because it was like a nice house with a garden, I got quite a lot of abuse for writing about it. And a lot of abuse from disabled people in particular. And that really got to me. And I was in a very dark place for a couple of weeks. And then after that, I just was like, you know what? I know I'm a good person, and I know that I've got people's good intentions and people's, I want people to have a good life, and I'm trying to create that. Yet I've got my own struggles and battles myself. So I which don't often kind of people. I think people think that when you're an advocate or an activist, that you, particularly when you're disabled, they kind of nitpick at what you're not doing, and then they forget that actually I'm struggling with pain, I'm struggling with my own access issues, I'm struggling with my own prejudice, I'm struggling with my own daily battles, and then also trying to promote and create awareness. So I think the word is I just got fed up. So about 6 months ago, when I had these 2 weeks of breakdown after that real abuse, I just thought, sod it, I'm just gonna I'm just gonna carry on just doing what I'm doing. And I genuinely now, and hand on heart, I can say it doesn't give me that sick feeling when I read something horrible about myself.
Amazing.
But it took me years to get to that point, and I'm sure there might still be in the future if someone says something really, really cutting that it will impact me. But honestly, now I am much more kind of like, whatever.
It's bound to happen though, isn't it? When someone's doing something great, there are bound to be people out there or trolls out there that have something to say.
It's funny because I say to people, like, it's jealousy, and then a lot of people have don't understand how someone could be jealous of someone who's disabled, because obviously a lot of people won't want to be disabled, but I'm like, you know what, I've got an amazing life. Like, you know what I mean? Of course you should be jealous of me. If you're going to be jealous of anyone, I'm going to be one of them.
Oh my God. Yes, Sam, exactly.
Exactly. You can be jealous of disabled people. You can be jealous of anybody, even if you think that they are lesser than you, you can still be jealous, because actually the only reason that you think they're lesser than you is because you're jealous, because you're intimidated by them. You're intimidated by their gender or their race or their wealth or their disability, because they're actually shining a light on what you're not doing.
That is actually so true, Sam. Yep, 100%. I 100% agree with you. I think what we need to understand is that everything that's happened in our life is part of our journey. It's part of our story. And I love the fact that you've used this to help create change for others. I really want to acknowledge you for that right now, Sam, and just
thank you
to see that you are a great representation of how you can turn something into something positive and seeing the greatness within. And I think you're an amazing individual. I know fully well that God chose you to do this, and you're doing an incredible job at it, Sam. And seriously, thank you so much for what you're doing.
No, thank you. I think this is what I love. That's why this is why no thing is ever off limits with me, I don't think, because I just think if I'm thinking it or feeling it, there's definitely got to be someone else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and I'm blessed to have a platform, and I'm blessed to be in the media and be, being given this kind of space to talk. So, I might as well just talk about periods and austerity, and how men are rubbish sometimes with disabled people, and have prejudice, and you know what I mean, and all sorts of things that I'm just like, I'm sure someone else will really, really benefit from hearing my life's experiences. So yeah, I do it for women, and I do it for other deaf and disabled people. Thank you for, having your platform and giving people like me a voice, because even though, you'd be surprised, still not many people would. So yeah, you have to give yourself a pat on the back.
I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you're aware that you can manifest the life you desire. I'd love for you to give this video a thumbs up, and also please subscribe. That way we can empower as many people across the globe to live a life full of greatness. Stay true to who you are. Keep smiling, keep shining, and most importantly, have a beautiful day. You have the ability to manifest the life you desire. Oh yes, you do.